morning from Goat Island on the Tennessee River. Yes, sir. Let's go outside and see what we got. Got the generator running, as you can hear in the background. I just got through cooking an awesome breakfast. Nice hot cup of coffee. And it is completely overcast, as you can see. But that is Goat Island. And here are the goats to prove it. It's pretty cool. When I pulled up last night, they all came out to say hi. And even this one here is munching on a tree. It's pretty cool to watch these guys. They're really neat. So I was joined by Not So Fast last night, and they were parked right over beside me. Excuse me, they were anchored for you people that give me a hard time saying the word parked. It has the same meaning, and you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, they were anchored next to me. They just got through taking off, heading downriver about 10 minutes ago, so I'm going to be heading out with them. It's just, I love this kind of morning where it's overcast like this when it's hot out, because it's just, the temperature is so beautiful. It's like, I think it's 66 right now, and hopefully you can hear me over the generator. Generator on this boat actually is very quiet. So, and I'm standing right on top of it right now. I'm standing right here in the back of the boat, and the generator is actually right below me, and it's actually that quiet. It's pretty amazing. But it is beautiful here. Oh, one other thing too. The Tennessee Valley Authority lowered the water level the last, 4 days ago when Hurricane Helene was headed this way, in anticipation of there being, this massive flood. Well, the flood never came in this area. So we're just kind of waiting for the possible heavy rain. All we got in this area was light drizzle, solid for 3 days. I think it was 4 days. So it wasn't near as bad as they thought. But last night when I pulled up, this area right here was almost 2.5 feet down further than it was. So overnight it came up 2.5 feet, which is a good thing for people that like to anchor out like myself. Anyway, I'm going to go upstairs, power everything up, do my engine checks, and I'm going to head downriver. So let's get rolling. I'm headed down the river. I just took off, left Goat Island, and let me show you what the plan is for today. So I just left Safe Harbor Marina, and this lake here is Pickwick Lake, and Pickwick Dam is right up here. And I'm heading south. So last night I spent the night here at Goat Island with cute little goats. That was really nice, beautiful, quiet spot. And I am headed south down here to, I believe it's called Bay Springs Lake. It's just another flooded area on the river. And there's one place that looks like a decent anchorage. Other people have already stayed there. And I'm going to try that little area right there. And it's called Jackson Camp. Should be a nice little anchorage on the west side of the lake. So that's where I'm headed to today. It's a total of 30 miles right there. 30 miles. And it's currently 10:22 a.m. And there's what it looks like outside. All I'm doing right now is idling. What I like to do is, instead of sitting still warming my engines up, I crank up, make sure everything's turned on, and then I just leave it as idle and start idling out. You can't do that in every area, but areas like this, not a problem. So I just idle along until I get about 150 degrees temperature, and then I'll run it up to 1,000 RPM until it goes up to full temperature, which I think is 180. So yeah, just idling along, quiet, cool. Temperature still about 67 degrees, no wind. It's absolutely wonderful weather for boating. I know it looks crazy overcast, but that really is the best boating weather for when you're sitting upstairs, outside, looking around. That flat light is just kind of cool. And of course, it keeps it cool. So this is really beautiful. I love this kind of boating. I've had some people ask me what I do when I'm up here in the bridge driving along. How do I eat? You know, snacks or whatever, or do I pack something? Well, one of the things I love to do is just kind of have something I can munch on. And what I like mixing together is a big old Tupperware full of homemade trail mix. What I like putting into it is pine nuts, raisins, pecans, peanuts, cashews, sunflower seeds, and the most important part, live cereal. And I make sure that I mix equal amounts so nothing overpowers anything. And it's really a nice thing to eat while you're cruising along on a beautiful day like this. I made it into a nice little anchorage. This is Bay Springs Lake, I believe it's called. I'll look up to make sure. It's still part of the Tom Bigby waterway. It's about 1:30 in the afternoon. It's a nice little ride. Nice little protected cove from 3 sides at least. It even has almost a white sand beach, which is kind of rare down here. Let's go down and take a look. Not bad. Got a few trees that are really trying their best to squeeze out some fall colors. Over here, maybe a little bit more. I don't know if you can see them, how well it shows up on the camera. But look, I might get lucky in the next couple of weeks and see some fall colors. That would be awesome. So I'm going to spend the night here. Also, let's see if we can see them. Let me go to the other side of the boat. There he is. And there's Not So Fast. We're right there. We've been traveling together the last couple days. They brought their dog Lily out too to do some fetching. She loves the water and a good swimmer too. And I'm going to go in and make some, I guess it would be almost dinner, lunch. Yeah, lunch. I've been snacking along the way. But I need to, this is the beginning of me finally doing live, the best I can, live videos where I actually record and then go in and dump it right into the editor, right onto the timeline that same afternoon. It's supposed to be in 2 weeks behind and not remembering what's going on. So we're going to see how this works out. Hopefully it'll make it more coherent for me and easier, because editing has been a real chore. Almost don't even look forward to it anymore. So let's see how well that works. But that's the plan. So I'm just going to go ahead and go inside and start doing a little bit of editing. And then plan for what I'm going to do tomorrow, where I'm going to go, because I don't know until I plan. I want to do it day at a time. That's the best way on the loop, is just kind of plan it out day at a time. Give yourself about a week ahead so you kind of know where you're going to be in a week, but only plan out tomorrow the night before. So the way I love to do it anyway. Good morning. It's now 11 a.m. We are leaving this beautiful anchorage. Had a great night's sleep last night. It was so calm that the anchor chain was just dangling straight down. It was beautiful. No slap on the hull, nothing. Beautiful temperatures. I think the low last night was maybe 58, so it was just great sleeping weather. and there's Not So Fast. They're pulling anchor also. And right on the other side of these trees is Patty Ann. So John and Pat are going to be meeting us down there at the first lock. And we are going to be going through 2 locks and then headed to Midway Marina. It's only about 25 miles, but with 2 locks. And like I say, the first lock will be there at noontime, so we're kind of planning it out as an easy day. So we're just going to be heading out. Now, one thing I do is my anchor came up pretty muddy, so I've dropped it back down, so just about half of the shank is still sticking above water. The rest of the anchor is below water, and I just do a 1 engine forward, 1 engine backward, and do kind of a spin around and let the water resistance clean off my anchor, and then I pull it up. So it say he was sitting here with a hose spraying and spraying, and you know, it just makes it easy for me. You just want to make sure you don't forget that it's down before you take off. Okay, I've done a full donut, and they went forward about 50 yards, so let's see if it comes up clean now. Yes, sir. Nice and clean. Again, you just don't want to forget. Not that I've ever forgotten. Wink, wink. But yeah, that's a really simple way for a solo boater, even a dual boater. Dual boater? You know, somebody that's got a helping hand, which I sure don't have, to clean your anchor off. Get the mud off it. This is the Witten Lock. This is not one if you got claustrophobia, that you want to be in. Look at this. That is awesome. That's the furthest drop on the entire loop so far. And we're still going down. Water goes all the way to right under that, where that green is at. It's amazing. We're still going down. And be aware when you come in, port side tie is all raining. Excuse me, starboard side tie is all raining, port side tie is dry. So be careful, they're getting soaked up there. If you're all the way in the back like I am, with just a little bit of sprinkles, not bad. So man, this is a long drop. Holy mackerel. This is intimidating as heck. If this was your first lock, it'd scare you for the rest of the loop. I think it's pretty cool though. So I just talked to the lock master. He said that drop was 84 feet today. Zowie. Man, that was awesome. He said it's the highest on the waterway. So that was awesome. It's better than a Disney ride. Pretty shallow in here. I'm showing 4.6 feet, and that's of water depth.
Anywhere you want, Captain. That'll be your power right there.
All right, I'll put the SN right there then. Hey, Phil. You saved me a spot there, did you?
You've done that once before.
Yeah. Nice. Howdy ho. How are you? Lower these down a little bit. How long you been here?
Too long.
Been trying to watch on Nebo, but you don't guess you don't have the app open or something.
Well, when you called or wrote us.
This be your power right here on the other side.
All right.
And, the girl in the office, she'll be back down through here in a minute.
Okay. Let's see here.
It's a 50.
I can use either one.
Okay.
Is it just a 50 is all it's there?
Yes.
I got a
50.
splitter. Yeah, I don't like bringing a heavy 50 cable out.
Well, there's a splitter here if you want.
Just came back from a late lunch with the group. There's a nice little restaurant right here. I now have leftovers for dinner tonight. And yeah, we're kind of getting ready to head out tomorrow. We're supposed to make a decision. It's kind of basically made. We're gonna get on down because the lock's now open, the Aberdeen lock. So we're gonna boogie on down there. Supposed to anchor out beforehand, but we'll see. We'll see how far we get tomorrow. And I'm gonna do a few chores around the boat and hit the sack. There we go again. No clue where I'm at. I just woke up, just had a cup of coffee, came down here still half asleep, and John says, we got to go now. The lock's gonna hold the door for us. So I'm not awake yet. The Midway Marina, yeah. Midway, I believe it's called. Little cute place just north of Aberdeen Lock. So now I have a little chore. I got to get this boat swung out of here with the wind blowing, which is going to be fairly easy, I think. I got a little bit of help down there, so let's get going. Let the bow start to swing, then untie that. All right, I think I got control. You can go ahead and throw the line on.
He just wants the wind to blow.
Yeah, just throw it up there. I'll take care of it.
Set it out.
Thank you very much.
Throw it on board?
Yes, sir.
Okay, have a good one.
Thank you. I
See
thought.
you in the lock.
All right. I thought the wind was going to be worse. It's not bad at all. Thank goodness for dual thrusters. Look at this. I can pivot this baby. This is sweet. Yep. And we heading out. Not a problem. It's a beautiful morning.
Lock master said they're on 7474.
That's different. Okay. Let me tune this radio to 74 68 1 2 3 4. All right, we're on the frequency. Pivot a little more. Little pivoting action. Nicely done. Pivot, pivot. Always love that Friends episode. Quite shallow in here. I've got 5 feet. It's going up a little bit now. It was 4.9, 4.8 in the slip. Now it's 5. It's going up to 6 feet now. Pretty shallow. And I have to, right in front of me, it's very shallow. So I have to turn here. I have to do another pivot. And go over to that green marker. Hug that green marker to stay in the deep area. Hope I'm not getting too much wind noise. The wind's blowing on my camera. And I forgot to put the dead cat filter on this camera. All good. I'll try to cancel it out. It'll probably sound weird. Try to cancel it out with the editor. Oops, I got 5.8. 5.8. So that's enough. This boat only drafts 2 foot 9 inches. Can you believe it? 2 foot 9. I love this boat for the loop. This is a perfect loop boat. It may be lacking in certain areas, like it doesn't have a giant galley with a huge oven, but all the other amenities this boat just excels in, man. Being able to be safe and let the boat take care of you on the loop, this boat does it, man, big time. I'm just more impressed with this boat the more I use it. Here we go. Coming into the Aberdeen Lock. It's only the... Anyway, we're coming into Aberdeen Lock. It's just opened up after maintenance for a month. So we're one of the first through. Starting out the day right.
Third boat in is secure on the port wall.
Well, we made it through the Aberdeen Lock, and the plan was to anchor right before Aberdeen Lock, but it looks like it's all silted in. So we decided to go to Columbus Marina, which is another 25 miles. This is going to be a long day on the river. The sun is glaring out there. So I've got one of these great big shop blowers plugged into an extension cord down in the salon, blowing on the back of my neck. That's how I can stand it up here. It's a toasty one today. It's about 87, and the problem is there's a 8-mile-an-hour wind going that way, and we're going that way 8 miles an hour. So it's like you're sitting still in the heat. So it's pretty warm. It's not Florida heat, but dang, it's hot. So yeah, this big blower on the back of my neck has really helped. So we have another 25 miles to go before we get to the Columbus Marina. Oh man, it's gonna be, we left at 8:30 this morning. We won't get in until 5:30 tonight. I don't like running days that long, but man, being on anchor tonight in the heat, I just don't like running the air conditioner. Excuse me, I just don't like running the generator for 3, 4, 5 hours just for air conditioning. So I'd much rather be in a marina using power plugged in. Plus it gives us a chance to all get together. There's 6 of us to get together and go to dinner and stuff like that. So let's see how much longer it's got to go. So it's now 2:54 p.m. Another 20 miles to go, 19.7 miles to go. We'll get in at 5:04 p.m. Oh, it's gonna be a long day. Oh man, I'm just gonna keep on keeping on. I'm gonna be worn out today. Getting a little bit of leaf change going on here. Look at that. I know it's not like, you know, up in Maine or something, but hey, it's something. We finally made it to the Columbus Marina. Man, was that a long ride. So glad to be here. Looking good. Looking okay?
Looking good, Steve. You got your stern line. How far back? You tell me, hun. Let me know when you want me to snub it off.
All right.
Bring the bow over. I'll bring your bow line.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Jalen. Here's the last one. I'm going home. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Wonderful job. Best so far.
So far, because the day's not over. We still got a chance to disappoint you. But yeah, guys, we'll just y'all just come on over anytime after 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. We'll get you checked in. Sleep late, come in before noon. I don't care. You're not going anywhere anyway. So we'll see you in the morning. Have a great night.
Thank you. You too. Well, we made it into Columbus Marina, Mississippi. That was a long, grueling ride. I think it was 74 miles. I hate running days that long. But we're here. Took a shower, all cleaned up and spiffy. And wearing my shirt. We're all going to dinner. So we've got the courtesy car. So here at 6 o'clock, about 9 of us are getting together. It's going to take 2 trips. Good thing it's only right down the street. So the plan is to stay here for, I don't know, a week, as long as I can, and then start heading down the river, further down towards Mobile. The next marina will be Demopolis. So, yeah, I'm whipped from the ride today. It was hot and boring. This is probably the most boring part of the journey. The southern Tennessee Tom Bigby waterway. It's so windy and hot. Anyway, so we're heading to dinner.
We got our place called Huck's.
Well, this is the 6-month anniversary, if you will, of my journey on the Great Loop, my year loop. And I've had a lot of comments that said, hey, how much have you spent so far? What do you spend per month? How often do you anchor out? How often do you go to marinas? And on and on. So I thought this is a good point to throw into the video some of the things that people want to know. I have been keeping a spreadsheet, Excel sheet, of everything I spend for the entire month, and it's separated month by month, and it has averages in there. So let's go down the list. 4 marinas. First off, marinas as opposed to anchored out. I have anchored out 54% of the time as opposed to, or excuse me, I have stayed in marinas 54% of the time, anchored out 34% of the time. So stay in marinas a lot more than I thought I was going to. And that's because you're dealing with weather, winds, waves, heat, where you want to plug in as opposed to running your generator. All those unforeseen things that made me stay in marinas more than I thought. There were a small amount of percentages where I stayed at free walls or paid walls or moorings, such as like the Trent Severn, where you pay to be on a wall. Those aren't marinas, but those are just 2 to 4% of the time were in areas like that. Mostly it was marinas and then anchorage out. So marina cost. How much did I spend per month on a marina? This is a 40-foot boat, so you have to figure it's so much a foot. So remember that when you're figuring how much it's going to cost. I think it was anywhere from, the highest was about $2.50 a foot, $2.25 a foot per night. The lowest was, I think, 50 cents a foot. I think that was like maybe one place. Most places are $1, $1.25, $1.50 a foot. Anyway, marina cost was $1,113 a month for marinas. Fuel. Now, this is a 40-foot motor yacht with twin Cummins 380 horsepower engines. So figure that for whether your boat has one engine, less horsepower, what have you. This is twin 380 Cummins engines on a 40-foot motor yacht, planing hull. I normally cruise at about 8 miles an hour, and I get right around 2 miles per gallon, 2.3 miles per gallon at that. Anything over that, the miles per gallon goes down. The highest I can get is around 7 miles an hour, just below 7 miles an hour, 6.8 miles an hour. I get 2.7 miles per gallon, which is absolutely great for a boat this size. It's a real sweet spot for a boat this size. I think one of the things is because this boat has its engines almost midway of the boat, where a lot of boats, their engines are further back, and it makes the boat tend to plow when you start pushing through the water. This boat is very, very level because the engines are further forward, and it just kind of pushes the boat straight, and the water tends to go around it, almost like a displacement hull. So of most boats that I've driven, this boat has gotten the best gas mileage, I think, of any boat that I have driven of this 40-foot size. So $1,507 a month for fuel, diesel. That's an average now. Some months more, some months less. Groceries. One person. I don't buy alcohol, which can raise your grocery price. Not by choice, but because I mentioned in previous videos, I get migraines. So even just having a beer, I'll have a migraine that night, and it's just not worth it for me. So granted, I'll buy things like O'Doul's alcohol-free beer, but it's just basic stuff for groceries. Average of $373 a month, and I cook majority of the time on the boat, so that is actually pretty darn good for a month's worth of groceries. But it is one person. Housekeeping, that would be doing laundry, maybe having the boat washed, things that don't fall in the other categories that are really pronounced categories. $45 a month. Restaurants. Again, it's one person. I'm not going out to eat a lot. And when I do go out to eat, I'm one of those people that I don't spend extravagant, or I don't buy the biggest thing on the menu or what have you. I usually will get something that may not be the best, maybe just a salad with something on it, so that I am not spending a whole bunch of money. So I'm being frugal when I go out to eat. And again, one person. $151 average a month. Yeah, some months it was higher, some months a lot less, but $151 a month for one person. Boat projects. This is a 2006 Meridian 391, so almost a 19-year-old boat, I think it is. even brand new boats. You're going to spend money on a boat. It's a boat. And this was anything from, I had to have a prop pulled off and straightened. I had some seals replaced on steering, just on and on, little things. This includes oil changes. Even if you bought your oil and filters before you left, include that into the first month's calculations, which is what I did. I actually bought stuff before I left, but I included it all. $1,327 a month for boat projects. Some months a lot more, some months almost nothing. $1,327 a month boat projects. Transportation, that's like Uber, and $23 a month. And that was actually only 1 month. I used an Uber twice. The rest of the months I didn't go anywhere. Or I used my scooter so I could smash my face in the concrete. That was a lot of fun. Other would be just anything that didn't fall in that category. If you bought t-shirts or a hat, or probably want to throw tips in there. Yeah, tips, things like that. $226 a month average. Some months, nothing. The highest month was $892. I don't know what that was. That was way above everything. That's what brought the average way up. But I probably, I probably bought some stuff like clothes or a gift or something like that. Things that just didn't fall into boat projects or restaurants or whatever. $226 a month. Average total, again, one person, average was $4,773 a month. So if you have two people, double the groceries or the, really it's about it. Groceries and maybe other. Yeah, I guess other and groceries you would at least double if you had two people. But $4,773 a month has been my average so far on this trip. It's not including all the stuff that goes with it, like boat insurance, stuff like that. Things that are, if you have payments in your boat or whatever, I'm not including any of that. This is just stuff that pertains to the loop. Let's see. That covers the cost. Got questions of what did I learn now that I've gone halfway through the loop? Well, you know what? The biggest thing I learned, which was the aha moment, was probably when I hit the first lock. And that was, I took so many, or actually the first day that I left, you probably saw, if you saw the first video, I was coming out of my marina and going really, really, really slow so I wouldn't bang into the wall or hit the drawbridge, which my marina has. And almost hit it, had to back up, almost hit a dock, almost hit some weeds. Looked like a real rookie. Well, it's far from the truth. I've been a boat owner, a boater, a professional diver, everything that deals with the water for all my life. I completely understand the hydrodynamics of the boat, even though I can't say it. Windage, everything else. But I listened way too much to people in the forum talking about, oh, be careful. The biggest thing I think that was on my shoulder when I was leaving that marina was only go as fast as you're willing to hit something. Now, that statement is very true, but only in certain circumstances. One of the things you have to be careful of is if you go too slow, you have no control of your boat. There's no rudder authority when you're going slow. That's what happened to me in the first video. I kept hearing, only go as fast as you're willing to hit something. I was just in and out of gear, putt, putt, putt. And the wind just took me, and thrusters, there are probably maybe half of the thrusters on certain boats have enough power to push against a strong wind. A lot of boats, especially this boat, doesn't have that authority where you could throw a thruster on and push against a strong wind. This boat has a lot of sail area on it. So thrusters didn't help me in that wind situation. So it really made me look like a rookie. But it was because I was trying to go so little slow, and I would make sure I didn't hit something because I kept listening to the people in my head. Granted, I know that let me back up. There are probably 50% of the people in the forum that have great help trying to really help you and have experience with what they're trying to convey to you. That's great. There are also, what I believe, a lot of people that are trying to be helpful that don't have the experience in that type of boat. They're transposing it into their experience, which may be from a sailboat or from a smaller boat that doesn't have a fly bridge or something like that, and telling you that's the way you need to do it. Or they're just passing along information they heard, just trying to be helpful. I really believe they're trying to be helpful, but I believe a lot of that you have to take with a grain of salt. So I think that's one of the biggest takeaways I have of the early part of the loop. The second part was I was scared to death in a lock because, again, the forums were telling me, oh, you don't tie off in a lock, you're going to die, which is what I heard. It's not the wording, but basically it's what I heard from a lot of people. So my first locking experience was a nightmare to me. And because of my back, it made it 100 times worse. Turns out that every boat has its own balance. Now, I'm referring to a single person on a boat. Granted, if you have two people, one in the front and one in the back holding lines, not a big deal. Anybody can do it. It's a no-brainer. One person on a large boat that has plenty of sail, side of the boat being the sail, current dealing with it, and you're holding one line or tied in one area, that boat's going to do its own thing, and there's not much you can do about it. So the biggest thing I learned was, for one person, again, this size boat, if you have the ability in the Erie Canal, you can only tie in one location because there are not a bunch of lines that or cables that you can tie to. So in the Erie Canal or coming down the Mississippi, center mid-cleat, tie as close as possible to the pin or to the sliding cable. Leave maybe, I find, just a couple of inches from the, look at the front and the rear fenders and bring them so they're almost about, 2 inches away from the wall. So they're almost touching, not touching, but just barely almost ready touching. And then bring your line tight. Wrap it around the cleat. You don't have to tie it off, just wrap it around a few times. If you can stand there, fine, you can wrap it around once and hold it. For a solo boater, which is what I'm trying to pass information to, is a solo boater, I find wrapping it around 3 or 4 times. That way it's tight enough where it's going to stay, but it's not cleated off. And then bring it in as close as possible for the front and the back. Use what seemed to work better for me are the big round fenders, the ball fenders. They just seem to be really cushiony when they hit the wall, and they don't scrape as much. There's not as much surface area like you get on the cylinder style. Even if you lay the cylinder sideways, you have the whole cylinder touching. You lay the cylinder vertically. Sometimes they tend to catch under the rub rail and everything on the boat. The ball fenders seem to just be there like a pillow. So the ball fenders seem to work better for me. One thing to keep an eye on is when you're going down, sometimes if it's pressing real hard against the wall, the ball fender can catch the wall and start to roll up the wall. So just push away from the wall a little bit. But that's why I found if I were to go and tie off to a pin and be, let's say, that far from the wall, let's say, a foot to 18 inches from the front and the back. Now the ball's not touching the wall, but now when the wind or the current starts catching it and you've got a lot of turbulence in a lock, the boat's going to swing, and that's going to swing this much. Now the ass end of the boat's way out, a couple feet out. Now it has more surface area for the turbulence to grab. So I go to the front and I'm pushing and pushing and pushing on the wall, fighting against all that angular turbulence. Same thing if the ass goes down. You're really fighting it back and forth. I found that bring the boat in to now the ball is only or the fender has maybe that far to touch in the front and the back, that if it were to swing a little bit, it goes that far. You can push with one hand and push it the other way and hold it straight. So you don't have a under the surface angular current momentum going on because it's straight even with the current. Close to the wall, the boat almost stayed there by itself. So that was probably the biggest learning thing in a lock, was to not be afraid to bring the boat and tie it off close to the wall. Let's see. The second thing I learned about locks was that the Erie Canal was a pain in the butt because You only have one cable that hangs floppy out of the wall, and it's a piece of steel cable that has like a PVC sheath on it that was ratty. Sometimes your line could catch on it. One boater can only tie in the middle, and the cable would swing way out and cause the boat to flop around. You couldn't tie it tight enough. And it scared me when I thought, because my brother did it with me. Thank you very much, Rudy. He did the Erie Canal with me, and it made it so much easier. And then the thought of me now doing the Trent Severn, where there's 42 locks, 41 locks, scared me. What an absolute 180 degrees when you get to the Trent Severn. The locks are well taken care of. The lawns are manicured. The people that are like lifers there. They love what they do. They work for you. They're not just lock masters. They have college kids that come up and they help grab your lines. They talk to you. They sit there and they watch to make sure nothing's going wrong. If they do, they tell the lock master immediately to stop. It's like going to Disney World when you go to Trent Severn. Unbelievable. Don't let any thoughts in your head about being scared of going through 40-something locks in Trent Severn deter you. That was the best part of the trip, just about. Second best. I'll tell you about the best in a second. They have, for a single boater again, even a dual boater on this one, two-person, the Erie Canal has one cable. The next cable was way down past my boat, so I could only use one cable mid-cleat. I couldn't hold on to two. In the Trent Severn, there was one like every 10 feet, so I could put one midship and one in the stern. Do a little tie on each, which they do want you to cleat to. First lock I went to, he says, tie up, leave a little bit of gap, and cleat it down, front and rear. And I said, cleat it down? Because, again, the form in my head, do you cleat it? You're going to die. He goes, yeah, why? I said, well, people say don't cleat it. He says, you're not going to catch on a cable. Their cables are very tight. They don't swing way out like they do in the Erie Canal. And they have that PVC coating on them that are like they're new. They're slick. So a piece of rope going around that slick PVC cable, there's no way it can catch. The cable is just like, your line is just like sliding on it. If it goes up to catch, it just pulls sideways. It's not physically possible to catch unless there's something sticking out or a broken wire or something, but their cables are smooth. Don't be scared to cleat off when you're on those black cables that come down the Trent Severn. Made my life so much easier. I could cleat to mid-clip, midship, aft, and just stand there and watch it. Plus, college kids will be standing up there watching it too to make sure everything's going good. Trent Severn up and down was ace, was great. All right, so that's things I learned about the locks. Now, next question was, what was the best part of the loop so far? 6 months in, I really enjoyed the locks in the Trent Severn. Man, the experience that I got in the locks was so much fun. The boaters I were with, you would go in a lock because they're small locks. So if you went in with 4 to 6 boaters, you were all bunched up together, side by side, maybe 2 feet apart when you're side by side. Other boat would be right up against you. But because it's all very calm and there's no current and all that stuff, you're in there tight together. You're just standing all chatting with each other, and you go from lock to lock to lock, and you're with all those 4 to 6 boaters all day long, maybe through 6, 8 locks. It was a blast. Had such a good time. Everybody was there cracking jokes and having a good time. The second most memorable part of the trip. No, that's second. I'm sorry. That was the second most memorable part. The number one, hands down, was Georgian Bay, and I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. Georgian Bay and the North Channel. Man, do not miss that. There was one night, in fact, I think it was probably my first night, that I anchored out and stern tied in this nice little quiet cove, miles away from any lights, so no light pollution, crystal clear sky. And that night, I was getting ready to go to bed. I went down and I sleep in the V-berth. I popped the V-berth porthole open, the hatch, and I stood up on the bed, and I'm standing up in the front of the boat, just kind of looking out at the dark sky and millions of stars, and you could see every now and then shooting star went by, and I didn't realize it was during one of like the Perseid meteor shower or one of those showers. And I was seeing shooting stars and all. And all of a sudden, I just got this feeling over me that I was so insignificant. This whole earth was insignificant, that everything out there, we were just a little dot of. And I started to literally just cry with emotion of how all this stuff going on here on earth, all these troubles and everything, are nothing. We are nothing. That it's just hard to put it in words. The emotion that came over me when I was just in that cove where I was just a dot by myself and I could see billions of other planets. The thought of us being the only planet that has life on it, was just crazy to even think that. And you just kind of wonder, why are we here? But it was a very emotional evening for me, in a very good way. I will never forget that. And that kind of extended out throughout the North Channel. It was just gorgeous. The further I got into the North Channel area, all through up in there, through Killarney, through the Bay Fin, the pool, it was just magical, absolutely magical. And then you come and you hit Chicago and the Mississippi, and everything changes and it becomes a chore again. So be aware that all that magical stuff really changes when you hit this busy area. And then the next thing I learned was, when I hit that area, was all the people saying, oh, you've got to always talk to the tows, the barges, and make sure you're passing on the right side, and so that you're not upsetting anything. Yes and no. Take that with a grain of salt. Use common sense. You're a little bitty boat. They're a giant barge. You're a gnat compared to them. If you're in an area where the river is narrow, which there's a lot of it, and you're going to be in their way, they may crush you like a gnat. You absolutely call them and say, which side would you like me to pass you on? If you're in an area of the river, there's a lot of area up and through here that it's super wide. There, if you look ahead, the river's straight, and they're on one side, and you have plenty of room coming down their side, you're not going to be in their way at all. There's no need to call them. Just use common sense. Stay out of their way. And monitor their channels. You can ask any tow that goes by, hey, this part of the river, what channel do you guys monitor? Most of it's channel 14 that you'll see down through the Mississippi. So just stay on their channel. If they want to get a hold of you and say, hey, they'll call you PC. Hey, PC, I'm going by. You just stay out on the side there. Stay on my one. But PC is a pleasure craft. So you'll hear them call you PC. And you got to listen up. A lot of them have a really heavy slang, and they roll their words together. But just listen up. You'll understand them. And if you have any problem, just question. They're super nice. They're super nice. But the bottom line is, use common sense. Don't bug everybody. Don't bug the locks and call them on the phone all the time and go, we're going to be there any second now. Hold the door for us. We're going to be there at 5 o'clock. Should we leave now? Should we go now? Should we wait? And then the next person in the group calls, hey, we're coming down. And then the next person calls. Lockmaster, they're super nice people, but they're human. After a while, they just, come on, guys. When you get here, call me. Every single one of them will say on the phone, when you get a mile out, call me. You don't have to call them and bug them all the time. If you want to, fine. But I've found so far on the trip that every time we called and bugged my opinion, bugged the lockmaster, that we ended up having to wait. The times that we would just go, not call them until we were a half mile out and say, hey, we're a half mile out. We see you. He sees you coming on AIS or on Nebo. They know what's going on. They talk to other locks up the river. And when you just show up, you wait the least amount of time. Or sometimes you pull up and they open the door and say, come on in. Man, we had the longest waits when we called. There was sometimes we waited 5.5 hours because we called them first thing in the morning. And every time I called back, it was saying, yeah, wait a little longer. I'll wait a little longer. So my advice would be, it's a journey. It's not a scheduled tour. Don't bug the guys. Show up. If you have to wait, that's what you've got controls on your boat for. Hold your boat still. If it's going to be too long, drop your anchor. You don't have to drop it way in. There's no current usually but right in front of a lock, usually right there by the lock itself. It's usually almost dead current. I'll drop my anchor straight down and the boat will sit still. Enjoy. Have a good time. Don't be impatient. That's the biggest thing I've learned in the past few weeks coming down the Mississippi. Anything else? Yeah, don't ride a scooter and with little bitty wheels in potholes because you'll smash your face. I'm glad mine is just about healed up now. It's still a little sore. My ribs are they're back to normal again. I can now lay on my stomach when I'm sleeping and it doesn't hurt. And I can press and I just barely feel where the crack was at. But it took a good month and a half to get my ribs to heal up. I still feel like I have a rock or something caught here. It still feels to be a lump in my lip from where I smashed the concrete. Anyway, all that fun stuff out of the way. But I hope that's answered a lot of questions. Hope I didn't ramble on too much. Yeah, if y'all have any other questions, things you want to know, let me know. I'll try and add them to each video as I can get to them. And yes, I do look at all the comments. I try to respond to the comments at least the first 2 or 3 days. Then that's probably about it. I won't go back through, weeks back. So anything further than that, I probably don't answer, or I just don't look at them. But the first couple of days, 2, 3 days, I will look at comments and respond to them. So thanks again for watching. I hope that there are people out there watching that are planning to do their trip and they're getting some sort of inspiration or information or anything that I can pass along. I am so happy to do so. Again, if you have any other questions, throw them in the comments and I'll try to answer them. This is going to end this video. I am sitting now at Columbus Marina. I will be leaving here in a few days in Columbus, Mississippi. I'll be heading further south. It's hot outside. I am plugged into the electric while I'm here so I can run the air. And yeah, just kind of waiting out to head further south and do some more anchorages before I get down to what marina? Oh, I don't know. I'm probably going to anchor out. I'm going to try and push it this time. I'm going to probably try and do a solid week's worth of anchoring because I just love anchoring. It's just something that's so cool about anchoring out, being away from people and the boat by yourself, especially at nighttime when it's quiet and peaceful. It is just my way, my love of being in boat is anchoring out. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.